Hi there. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com, and this is my Smart American Accent training. Welcome to our Friday live question and answer class. Feel free to ask your questions at any time in the chat, and I'll answer them live. People often ask me about pronunciation of words, about things that they're struggling with for American English pronunciation, American accent. We can look at intonation, anything that will help you with your overall communication in American English. Let's start off by looking a little bit again at some sounds versus some letters. Hi, nice to see you. And I'll take your questions as they come in. So in our last few weeks, we've been looking at the American sounds and the sounds of English. And last week we looked at letter U and some of the different sounds that it makes. And I think that this is something that just is always good to look at and think about. I think often when we see a vowel letter, we then associate it with a certain sound, and usually that's a sound that is in our native language. So looking, for example, we had a little extra bonus class this week where we looked at letter I, and when you see that letter, for many of you, what you might be thinking is the sound E, which is this symbol in the IPA, and it's in words like me and see in English. And letter I in American English doesn't really very often say this sound. In fact, it's pretty rare. It says it in a word like happier or happiest. That letter I will say E, but most of the time, if you see letter I in English, it's going to say one of two sounds. Most often, it's going to say the I sound, like in sit, is, and living. And sometimes it's going to say the diphthong I, which is in words like right and mine. And so just looking at the I and thinking about the sounds that it makes can be helpful in pronunciation, because we also have an accent error pattern where for many non-native speakers, this I sound, you have a tendency to make it more like a tense E sound. So you might be saying the word sit, and it might sound a little more like the word seat. That's because you may not have this I sound in your native language, and the closest sound is the E sound. And for some people, hearing the difference between I and E is very challenging as well. So this is something that we talk about often in this class. I talk about it when I'm talking about specific words in my Word of the Day class. I do have some lessons and videos just for spelling and sounds and just for the sounds I and E. And in my American Sounds of American English online course, you can get help for all of the different vowel sounds, how they're spelled, what the symbols are, and what sounds are in what words. And getting that overall organization can really help with your pronunciation, with understanding what goes wrong in your pronunciation, and looking at what kinds of things might be influenced by spelling in English. That you may have the accent pattern for I and E, and it may also be that when you look and see letter I, you're thinking this sound, and you should be thinking this sound in English. So we'll continue talking about this topic in our classes and as it comes up for specific words, but I always like to have a little bit of something extra for you in our question and answer class for you to be thinking about, and some resources to share. After class, I'll be putting in the comments links for different things to help you, both from our free practice on speechmodification.com, as well as our online courses, which are all now either free or under $2. I'm offering those as a special deal now to try to just give you more resources that you can use if you're on a budget. So thank you for that. And let's see, we have a request for a couple of words, a couple of animals. So first of all, the first one requested is the word ostrich. So ostrich, letter O says the ah sound. Ostrich also has first syllable stress, so we will have a little stress line here. And then there's our letter I, and that letter I does say the I sound in ostrich. And then the CH letters say the ch sound. So it doesn't matter if you can't read these symbols. This is the IPA. I'll also rewrite the word in a way that spelling might help you a little bit more. So I like to write the ah sound as letter O as AH. I think that many people see that and can think of the sound ah, that open ostrich sound. Ostrich. The STR blend may give you some challenges, in which case you can try just saying the word rich and then build from that. Rich, trich, stritch, ostrich. Also, what might be hard is that all of these sounds, the st, I, and ch sounds, are all pretty short because that syllable is not stressed, and the ah syllable is a lot longer. Thank you. That was a good word to cover. And then we also have a request for the word leopard, and leopard is definitely confusing in terms of the vowel letters versus the sounds, because we don't really have the sounds in leopard. There's just two vowel sounds. First of all, we have the red tent vowel in that first syllable, and lep is stressed, lep, and perd is unstressed. The letters AR say the ER sound. And so it sounds like lep, the same vowel that you would hear in the word letter or lead, and then leopard. We just have a tight back American R sound. So I'll rewrite that with an ER, leopard. So I don't know why that's spelled that way. It doesn't have any kind of O sound. It doesn't have any kind of R or ah sound in the second syllable. The letters AR, this sound, we do spell that with IR, with OR, AR, ER, UR. Basically, you have to know how to read the dictionary or how to listen for whether it's something that's just a plain or if it's an R or an ear, etc. That's something that I talk about in my American R videos, both in my Sounds of English course and in my American R playlist here on YouTube, and that can help you with that. Thank you for that request. Okay, we have a question about the word toward, and this viewer saw that there's multiple ways we can pronounce this. He's asking which ones Americans use. I think most Americans, including myself, use toward, where we don't say any O sound. So we use this is a case where the AR says the OR sound, like the word war and the word war. These have the same pronunciation, war. And we often say toward, with basically no vowel there, toward. Going toward the door. That's a good way to remember it, actually, toward the door, because you have the same or sound in both of those words. He was also mentioning that it can be toward. Yeah, toward. Yeah, okay, so I think actually I'm showing that W there, but I'm not necessarily saying toward. I might say toward with a W, or I might say toward the door, toward. The W is kind of a little bit there because if I have a schwa here and I'm going from the to the O, that gliding W sound comes in when I'm linking from vowel to vowel. I think if you say toward, yeah, okay, you may or may not have a W. Basically, this is probably the most common, the most simple version with the fewest sounds is often what you'll hear Americans say. We tend to reduce sounds in a lot of cases. So I think you can go back and listen. I also recommend go back after class, listen to the video and slow it down. And when I'm just talking about it, even though I was writing toward, and maybe I'll do this too. I'll go back and see, was I saying toward or was I saying toward? I think I probably use a mix of both. Great question. Thank you. I believe I have a video about how to pronounce toward because it's something that I often hear people pronouncing as toward or mispronouncing, and that's not really the way Americans would say it. Okay, we have a question about disease and dizzy. So disease and dizzy have the same first sounds, but disease has second syllable stress and dizzy has first syllable stress. So you'll see they both have the diz first syllable, the lax if vowel, but in the word disease, it's really short, lax if sound. You might even hear it like disease. I say it like disease. And then we have the ease, like the word ease. We have a tense E and a Z sound. So Z's, so z's or disease. Versus dizzy, we have more length on that first diz. So with the first syllable stress, dizzy, it sounds more like diz-y. So same sounds. This one just doesn't have the Z at the end, but the syllable stress is quite different. Disease, and dizzy. For words that have second syllable stress, one way to get that rhythm right is to leave that first syllable off. Just try saying Z's and then add a little short di. Z's, disease, disease. That's why the vowel doesn't matter so much, because I'm almost doing it just with no vowel, like disease. Okay, that's a good one. Thank you for that request. Couple of different things we can highlight there, both with the sounds and the syllable stress. Okay, we have a request for the word kangaroo. Today is Exotic Animal Day, I guess. So kangaroo. It's kind of an unusual pattern for English. Third syllable stress, probably because the word may come from another language that has different patterns. Kangaroo. I left out the A. So we would have the kang first vowel, first letter A says a, like black cat. We have the NG sound. And then this is a case where the NG says ng plus g. So in some words like singer, that NG only says the N. It's not singer, but just singer. But in finger or kangaroo, we have the N really says the NG sound and the G says the G sound. Kanga. And then last syllable stress, roo. So that would look like kang, ga, roo. Short, long, kangaroo. Great. So we've got ostriches, kangaroos, and what was our other one? Leopards. I did just recently cover chameleon in a word of the day class, and I do think we've covered a few other animal names as well. Feel free to ask for yours or leave a request, and we'll add those to word of the day as well. We have a question for the word. I'm not sure I know your word. Maybe, is it possible there's a typo in this word? So let's look it up in the dictionary. We'll see. Maybe I'll be learning a new word today. My guess would be that this is maybe either has the word science within it, or it might be sense. I'm thinking about the word nuisance, for example, that doesn't have the same pronunciation, but we'll take a look in our Oxford Learner's Dictionary, which is my preferred dictionary just because it shows both British and American English pronunciation, and they use the IPA symbols. That's oxfordlearnersdictionaries.com. So your word was spelled N-E and then like the word science. And I'm thinking it's possible that you meant nuisance or you meant a different word. Yeah, I don't see any listing for your word. Let's just check Google and see. It could also be just a less common word that I'm not familiar with. Or if you did a typo and you're still here, here it is, nescience. Okay, so we'll look in Merriam-Webster. People also ask, is it a real word? Well, we won't follow that link for now, but all right. So lack of knowledge or awareness, nescience. Okay, so yes, even though it has science in it, it has the sh sound, nescience. So this dictionary doesn't use IPA. So I had nescience of the word nescience. Let's break it down for you. So this is a case where, again, the root word might confuse you if you see science there. The SCI says psi in science. In this word, it says the SH sound. And then we have the nescience, the schwa, nescience, and red tent vowel in the beginning, so ne. So it would look like this in IPA. First syllable stress, nescience. And my guess is that you can, IPA. I'm doing a mix here of IPA and real spelling. My guess is that you can probably use either an I vowel here, an F vowel, and an F vowel, similar to how we were talking in the last words about how the unstressed syllable just needs to have a lax short vowel. Where the clarity needs to be is in my red tent vowel, nescience. And then the CE ending, very typical spelling, has the C sound. All right, so I will try to overcome my nescience about that word nescience. I think I had heard the variant of nescient, which is probably the adjective version, but thank you. I always enjoy, I learned so much from you, the viewers, from my clients, students. I'm always learning, and I do think that, of course, it's great to know how to pronounce a word, to learn it, to work on it, be able to say it. But knowing how to use resources to look something up is also extremely valuable. We're always going to encounter words we don't know or words we're not certain about. Or there's many words that you'll hear around you, and you'll hear different variations on pronunciation, because Americans make errors as well. And sometimes there's more than one correct way to say something. So having some resources that you can count on, including asking me, is a great way to keep improving and learning. Thank you. Okay. We have a request for quinoa. This is on my list of videos to make for word of the day. So quinoa has first syllable stress. The QU usually in English is going to say qua, like in quote, for example. In quinoa, however, it just says the K sound. And then the I says the E sound. So this is an example. When we were talking about I at the beginning, how I doesn't usually say E in English. This is an exception to the rule. It does say E here. And quinoa, the OA, says a W sound and an ah sound. So first syllable stress. So basically, if you think about it like quinoa. Yes, quinoa. All right. That's something I'll probably will still cover in a future word of the day, but thank you for requesting that. I'm sure others were wondering about that as well. I think some American speakers don't know how to pronounce that one either, unless they've been eating or cooking with quinoa for a while. Okay, we have a request or a question about a lot of words that contain U in the middle, like populace. It's pronounced as U. In other words, it's not. Any advice on how to know which one is correct? I think just look, again, probably you have to look in the dictionary to see if you see this symbol, it's just the U sound. If you see this symbol, it's the U sound. And I don't think there's really a rule to know which is which. I do have a lesson on my website that lists some common words with those, but when it comes to longer words, basically you have to look them up. And what you might find is that as you improve your listening and be you're paying attention to that pattern, you're going to hear it more when you're listening to speakers, and you'll be able to differentiate and notice which ones are ooh, like versus you, like populous. Nothing with ooh comes to mind immediately. So yeah, sorry, I don't have a better tip for how to know the difference. It's really individualistic for words, different words. Okay, we have a request for class. So that word has the black cat vowel, and two S's often say the S sound. It's a single syllable. So there's not really an easier way to write it to help you. Just watch out that you don't want the ah sound, not class, but class, more forward with the tongue. One thing that might help you is to pair it with a word like that class, to match the vowel. And also watch out that you go directly from the K to the L, class, rather than class. You don't really want any sound in between those two. You can also build from the L, last class, or you can pair it with a word like last class. Yes, and we have a request for melancholy, evoked, and university. So I'll take your first one. I believe, cover university in a word of the day class recently, or that it's coming up soon. You may have requested that previously and it was in my list. Let's look at melancholy. Melancholy. First syllable stress in melancholy. It has the red tent vowel. So melon. Here's this an says schwa or melon. The ch in melancholy says the k sound rather than the ch sound. The o says ah, melancholy, and the y says e. So thinking about it like melancholy. We probably have secondary stress here, so kind of a da-da rhythm to the word melancholy. And then for your other word, evoked, we have second syllable stress. So here's another place where I would start with the voke syllable, and the O says, it's a diphthong in American English, says O, hold it a little longer. The ED in evoked says the T sound because the K is voiceless, so the ED just says T rather than a D sound. So just trying voked, evoked. Then this E just has a light I sound because it's unstressed, evoked. Good. If I have time at the end of class, I'll come back to covering university for you, but I do know that there's either a very soon coming word of the day lesson on that, or we just recently covered it. And again, I'll go back after class and I'll put in timestamps to let you know which words we covered in this class, so you can go directly to that information. I also like to put in links there for if there is an additional video for your word or a resource I talked about, like a course or another video, I can put those links there so you can go a little more in depth. Since sometimes I'm covering your words rather quickly in this class to try to get to many people's words in one class. Okay, Mama Dave wants to know about tap versus tub. So let's take a look. Tap, we have our black cat vowel and voiceless P sound, tap. I shouldn't have my voice on. Versus tub, we have our such fun vowel schwa, and a voiced B sound. So for tub, you're going to hold that schwa longer because there's a voice sound at the end. Tap, you can say the vowel sound fairly short and the voiceless sound. You might try pairing it, like again, with a word like that tap, and maybe some tubs, so that you can match the same vowel sound, the here and the here. Thank you for that request. We have a request about how to pronounce the stairs. So stairs has the air diphthong. And I would probably build from that. So making sure that you can say air and then try tear and finally stare. This letter S says the Z sound because air is voiced. And so adding letter S, it says Z after a voice sound. And the in stairs is going to sound like a schwa because we say the before words that start with a consonant sound. We say the before words that start with a vowel sound. The stairs, the stairs. Yes, and we have a question, a comment from Dana. Dana wants to know how to pronounce me'an. Okay. Yeah, so she's talking about IPA transcription she's seen, which is the red tent vowel with the schwa versus man with the black cat vowel. So I would say man. This is a little tough for me to say, me'an, because man, we don't naturally have that and combination together in English. Yeah, so kind of think about it like me'an. I kind of need to make a little break in between those two to naturally say it because we don't naturally glide from to in English. So yes, so she's saying Wikipedia transcribes man as man. I'm thinking what they're doing there, Dana, is because the when it's in between the and the n gets a little more closed. Like we don't always, when I say use that man, we might not go as far open for man because we have to come back closed for those nasals. And so that they might be just trying to mark how man sounds a little different than the vowel sound that we have in a word like that or in cat. You can hear how cat, that. I'm pretty open. Man. They're probably trying to mark what happens just naturally when we say man, that it gets a little more closed. I don't think it's necessarily that you would be saying man. It just sounds strange to me if I'm going really with a pure and a pure schwa there. Interesting. I'll look into that and see if I can figure out what they're doing and how they do that with other transcriptions as well. I can talk about it in our Sunday members class for you. Thanks for bringing that up, Dana. So Dana is a channel member. We have a class like this on Sundays for channel members. It's just a smaller group, and they can ask their questions at any time throughout the week. They can also attend live on Sunday and ask questions, but if they can't make the Sunday time, I answer members' questions that come in throughout the week for them on Sunday, and they can watch the replay at any time. So that's a great way to support the channel and also to not have to wait as long for your requests if you've been requesting Word of the Day classes, Word of the Day requests. I am working my way through that Word of the Day list, and I will get to your request eventually. So thank you again for those of you who've been making those requests. It helps me know what topics to cover in this class and what additional videos to make for you, for everyone. Okay, we'll take a couple more questions and then we're going to have to wrap up for today. If I don't get to your question, I will go through and look at the comments that I didn't get to, and I'll try to give you some resources in my comment after class that you can go to. You can also join as a channel member and I'll cover your questions on Sunday, or you can come back next Friday as well. Okay, a couple more questions. We have a request for law and low. So the ah vowel in law is a rounded mid vowel. Law, ah, my lips are round, but it's fairly lax. Whereas low has the diphthong O. And what happens there is I start with my jaw a little bit more, my lips a little bit more pursed, and then I relax. And so my jaw closes as I say O, versus ah. There's no change into how open my jaw is. The ah is slightly more open than the O, and the O is more rounded, more tight-lipped. So law, low. Again, as I often say in words like this that are minimal pairs, it may be hard to make a difference between those two. So you might want to pair them with another word. I actually use caught law as my anchor for this vowel ah. And, maybe caught is easier for you to make that in. And then maybe go low to pair for the word low. You can get more help for the ah and o. I have some videos for that, some free lessons for that on speechmodification.com, and then complete lessons for all of the sounds and how to pronounce them correctly, what words they're in, on our American Sounds online course on speechmodification.com. Okay, question about how to pronounce Mediterranean Sea. That's going to have to look at your spelling. That's Mediterranean is a word that I always find a little bit challenging to spell, and I always have to double check. Two R's. Mediterranean Sea. So when I'm saying Mediterranean Sea, Mediterranean, the A syllable is stressed. So it's kind of short, Mediterranean, a lot of syllables there, Mediterranean Sea. And then C is also going to be stressed in this two-word phrase, Mediterranean Sea. The first E is the same sound as in red or medical. This letter I is going to either be an sound or a schwa sound. I think I probably say it more with the schwa, Mediterranean. Then another schwa, Then here's my stress syllable, just like the word rain, my diphthong A. So this is an unusual spelling. Usually we have AY or AI for that A sound in English. In this case, it's just letter A, Mediterranean. And then we have an E, tense E, schwa, Mediterranean. And then C is just the same as to see, or just the tense E sound. Mediterranean Sea. Okay. Great request. Thank you so much. Okay. I will take a couple extra. We'll go a little long today just to try to get to most people's questions. And as I mentioned, if I don't get to yours, I apologize that couldn't get to everyone today. I will for channel members, be covering your words on Sunday, and I'll take a look and see if I can give you some resources after class as well. Okay, we have a question about the word addict. So first syllable stress, black cat vowel. Second syllable has the lax if vowel, and addict. We do a little cluster there at the end. Addict. And we have a question, is there a past tense for the word beat? US beats Canada. So the past tense is, if I said the US beats Canada, for present tense, then the past tense changes to beat. The US beat Canada. So she beats him every time. She beat him last time. So there's no S. That's how we change the, it's simple past tense, but it's irregular past tense. So we beat them, you beat me, she beat her, he beat him. So yeah, that would be the past tense for beats. So it doesn't change the pronunciation except that we lose the S at the end. Okay, thank you for the great questions today, and it's wonderful to see so many of you here live. I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's Word of the Day class, and for channel members, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday in our members only class. That'll be at 9:45 Seattle time, and of course, you can watch the replay at any time. If you are a channel member and you haven't made your requests for this week yet, please feel free to leave those in the comments for this video or any of my videos, and I'll be sure to cover them for you, whether or not you can attend the class live. If you're interested in channel membership, you can click the join button and see what perks we offer for channel members. It's just another way to support the channel and to get a little bit extra. I appreciate all of the requests that you've been making for Word of the Day classes, and I look forward to seeing you next week in our Friday class. I apologize if I didn't get to your word today. I'll go through the comments later and get back to you, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com. Bye, everyone. Thank you.